We're about 10 miles away from Fredericksburg, which was a popular German immigrant town in the 1840s. And because we're situated here along the South Grape Creek, this became a popular place for another settlement named Grapetown, obviously because of the name of the creek. There were people that moved here who were farmers, and there were also people that moved here who were teamsters that drove wagons between Fredericksburg and the Gulf of Mexico, kind of back and forth. There was a railroad that came near here, and there were, but it was a small community. One of the most, long-standing institutions here was the Grapetown Shooting Club. It was kind of a gathering place for the community. They would have, besides things around shooting activities, they would have dances and kind of almost seemed like maybe like a community hall. The rerouting of the roads in this area and the economic kind of downturn in the 1930s diminished any growth that the town would have, and then it kind of slowly, became a ghost town. There's a couple buildings here. I'm not sure what this building is that I'm sitting in front of, maybe a general store of some kind, but the school is right next to it. It's very, very cool. And then there's also a cemetery and, the shooting club. Well, we've gone from Grapetown to Oatmeal. Definitely a food-themed episode today. Oatmeal was another German town. It was, the name I've read, it's either after a guy named Oatmeal, or there was a German translation for the word oat or oats. And so it happened in the 1850s, and so maybe the real reason has been lost through the decades and centuries now, and but kind of a funny name, but it is on Oat Creek, and so the whole community probably got the name for the same reason. But I don't think it was a big community. They had churches, they had a school, they have a couple buildings here, especially one that's some sort of community center or church or school, or maybe all of those things. But Oatmeal was. It's hard to say that without laughing, Oatmeal was. But yeah, Oatmeal was a town, and it had, it was a small community. And we were pretty isolated, kind of on some back roads. The population dwindled over time. There's, I think, a couple dozen people maybe in the community that live here. And they have a great, I don't know if it's a water tower or some sort of tower here showing Oatmeal on there. And they had some sort of a parody of a chili cook-off. They have like an oatmeal cook-off with like a neighboring town, and so they kind of have a little sense of humor with the people that live here. And I think just down the road, down a side road, there's a church and maybe a cemetery. So after I show you the layout here of where it says Oatmeal on the map, we'll see if we can find that. So as I headed down that road and saw both the church and the cemetery, it's kind of interesting. You know how it talks there about how this used to be a school and a church, and it's obviously very old. The cemetery is very interesting, but it's interesting how, I mean, they're, I don't know, about a mile from each other, the original place, or the place I stopped at along the road, and here. So maybe this was kind of the original town site, and when they built that road, maybe some things went over there. I don't know. It's hard to find a whole lot of information about those kind of things here, but definitely an interesting stop. Well, this is Nameless School in the community of Nameless, Texas, as the towns get stranger by name as we go. You might wonder, how does a town become called Nameless? And the reason is because they kept submitting different names to the post office, and they were already taken. Fairview was the main one, and they kept, you know, being rejected time and time again. Finally, they just said, we'll just remain nameless, and that's how the name Nameless came to be. There's a school here. It's on private property, so there's really not much to see here. It's just along the road. There's a cemetery, I believe, that's also here. There's some housing that's the Nameless Hollow, which has some nice places to live there, and then kind of maybe one other kind of abandoned little place along the road. I don't think I'm going to send the drone up on this one. We'll just look at the church from afar. And seeing as though mostly all I can hear is gunshots, I think I want to have the drone live to fight another day. So, but this is Nameless. Oatmeal was, it's kind of funny when you say oatmeal. I actually had oatmeal for breakfast. Was not planning that. But